Alright, so before I put this cam in, I want to talk to you guys about this cam card, right? This is a Howard's cam. It's a 112 lobe separation. The reason we went 112 is because of EFI, right? We're running fuel injection to limit the amount of scavenging and to get our EFI system to work properly and take proper readings from the exhaust. We need it to be over 110. Now, because of the uses I'm going to use this for, street use, natural application, right? And we're looking for 600 horsepower. I needed a cam to match my heads, I needed a cam to match my compression ratio, I needed a cam that had enough lift to feed this monster. And I looked at a couple cams, I looked at some Edelbrock cams, the Thunder series. The problem with those is they're pretty generic. Edelbrock doesn't make cams, right? Although they have a few in their arsenal, if you will. They're not a cam manufacturer. You can go with any cam, you can go with comp cams, Howard cams, you can get the Edelbrock cam if that's what you want. But just looking at a power pack or something like that, whatever their total power package is, if you don't have that exact stuff in their power package, and you throw that Edelbrock cam in there, that doesn't mean you're going to get those numbers. And I looked at their power packages, and I saw that they were using the same cam and a different engine and getting 50 more horsepower. So that cam didn't belong in that engine. We want our engine to be as efficient as possible, and that's why we went with this cam. This is a Howard's cam. It's 284, 296, but it has a 635 lift on both intake and exhaust. If a lot of people worry about dialing their cam. If you ordered the right cam, you shouldn't have to dial it in or degree it. You know, I verified this was my cam, the cam I ordered, because it's possible that maybe Howard got it backwards, you know, or maybe they sent me the wrong one. To do that, I measured the intake and the exhaust lobes. So you measure base lobe, right? I measure base lobe with my dial indicator, and I measured base load. I came up with the base circle. I measured the base circle. I came up with 1.86, and then I measured lift. On my lift, I came up with 1.56. You subtract those two, and I measured both. I came up with the same measurements. Take your time, you know. But once you subtract those two, you end up with a small number that's almost half of what you want. Actually came up with 0.374. To get your lift, you actually need to multiply that by your rocker arm ratio, which for us it's 1.7. So when I multiplied it out, I got 0.6358. This is supposed to be 0.635, so I just assume that it's a mistake on my part calculating this, and that far off. Maybe it is correct, but again, we're going to slide this in, we're going to lube it up, and I'll show you guys putting it in. Alright, before we slide this in, we're going to make sure we have plenty of lube. Sorry, that's my oil for the bottom of the engine. Again, I use the STP. There's no such thing as too much. Now, usually I put a wire or something underneath, but because I put this crank in, I'm not going to be able to support the other end from this side. So what I'm actually going to use is my crescent wrench, right? And I'll support it from the lifter valley. There's holes in this that I can stick that rubber handle through and actually help support that weight once I can't hold it up with my hand. Just take your time. I would rather go super slow and have no scratches in this than to drop this on one of my fresh bearings. So again, I'm going to come up from underneath, right, using my handle, and just push up on the cam itself. All this allows me to do is set it down gently. Setting it down, and there we go. Now if you had a longer bolt here, that'd be ideal. I couldn't find one. We're again going to go from underneath and help support this. Nice and slow. I'm actually pushing it in with my crescent wrench. And right there, we'll set it down. And that's it. Now we gotta clean this mess off of here. I shouldn't have got that in these bolt holes because we're gonna use Loctite on this. Alright, so I had to clean out these holes. This retainer plate basically holds this, holds the camshaft in. It's a step down. It has a step down on it. And this basically just holds it in place and keeps it from working back and forth. This is the reason why you don't need a button. But for those of you guys who insist on putting a button on your cam and knock yourself out, this will hold it in just fine. The oil passageway will fill this up and protect this and keep it from coming back and forth, right? It's protected at the back by a barrier of oil. It can't come any further out than this plate. So I don't understand why people put buttons on them, but if that's what you want to do, knock yourself out. I also use thread locker on this. I use red. I realize that you have to get this out if we wanted to later. I might have to heat it up, but I would rather have to heat this thing up than have it loosen up over time and come out on its own. This is the last thing I need, and I'll never know until it's too late. So these are just Torx heads screws. We're going to put a drop of Loctite on each one. There's nothing to it. The plate sits right on there, holds the camshaft in place, keeps it from coming too far out. Alright, I'm going to just put a drop of Loctite on each one and screw it in. And then after this, I'm going to go ahead and go to the exciting part. We're going to find out if these pistons are going to hit these valves. Oh, and this is blue. So blue Loctite won't harden like the red one. I don't know why it's in the red container. Blue Loctite is removable Loctite. Red Loctite is supposed to be a one-time deal. I like red Loctite. I thought that was red Loctite. It's in a red container. They got me again. We're just going to take these to 105 inch-pounds. There's no need to lube around this ring. There's enough on there. We're going to pre-lube this engine pretty good, so that's not going to be an issue. You don't need to do these in steps. It's just a habit for me. I put way too much Loctite on there, but it won't hurt anymore. Alright, that's it.